Hello from World University and School. The full federal toolkit, deploying the full federal toolkit. What's that? Stay tuned next week, March 16th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Pacific time for World University and Schools exploring further of how to accredit and proceed with potentially the full US federal toolkit in growing World University and School and coding for potentially speakers of all 7,000 languages in all 200 countries, and potentially from there coding for most of all 7.9 billion people on the planet to facilitate free universal education that's wiki, people to people, wiki teaching and wiki learning among speakers of all 7,159 known living languages, and also with free degrees building on MIT OpenCourseWare in approximately 7 languages presently. So greetings from Alameda Island. I'm standing up and holding the camera toward the San Francisco Bay Peninsula, which is behind me, and also the place where I've been taking a cold swimmer shower for the since around March 4th, 2025, as I seek to move World University and School and myself further fully, again, newly into a newly safe vacant with deed 670 Ridgecrest Road, Canyon, California 94516. And that may happen tomorrow with the steps ahead for getting a deed potentially in Contra Costa County. So this is an open WUAS news and question and answer, an open weekly business meeting loosely conducted in the manner of Quakers, just checking to see if people want to join this WUAS news and question and answer. And to proceed, dear World University and School community, Universitians, Peter Norvig, Google AI Director and Stanford Distinguished Education Fellow, and Stanford Law Codex Executive Director Roland Vogel, Tony Blair at the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change in the British Isles, who was the Prime Minister for about 10 years, and of the Labour Party, all. Greetings from World University and School, building on CC4 licensed MIT OpenCourseWare in 7 languages. And you can see these 6 and 7 languages at the MIT OpenCourseWare courses, opencw.apprende.org/courses/translated-courses, and at ocw.mit.edu. Check them out. So greetings from also World University and School, growing in with Wikipedia, Wikidata in 342 active languages. World University and School continues to plan online free to students bachelor, PhD, law, MD, IB high school or similar, AAAS and master's degrees in each of all 200 countries and in their main languages, and as WUS proceeds with accreditation, and in a hashtag Grow with Google WUAS program, hashtags on Twitter, X, and LinkedIn. And here again is the incredible hashtag Toolify AI WUAS article by Peter Norvig, Google AI Director, and regarding World University and School building on MIT OpenCourseWare in 7 languages, talking about language diversity and MIT OpenCourseWare, talking about studying enjoyment in learning, talking about a realistic virtual earth to which scientists and social scientists and individuals like you and I can all add resources, and also talking about virtual Harbin hot springs, and even for studying bliss. It's a great article, check it out. revolutionizing education with machine learning and AI. World University in School. That's a hashtag. Hashtag World University in School. Updated March 2nd, 2024. Tulify.ai webpage. Per this hashtag Tulify AIWUS Article 2, World University in School is developing a realistic virtual Earth for STEM. And think hashtag Google Street View with hashtag G time sliders, hashtag G maps, and hashtag Gemini AI. And at the hashtag G cell view and hashtag G molecule view levels. And click on these in Twitter X and LinkedIn, and they'll open new worlds for you potentially. And as STEM field sites and classrooms for new kinds of digital university learning experiences. Having taught at least one university with a textbook or from a textbook, WUS is also seeking to move beyond the textbook for our free online WUS degrees as we accredit. And the second wing of WUS, the WUS Corporation, educational services stores, academic press at WUS in 7,159 living languages with machine learning and with human and machine translation, seeks to even invent the book anew, publishing from Google Street View, hashtag text in the sidebar. So potentially a seventh book I'm writing, and a second Harbin Hot Springs ethnographic book project will be published from Google Street View with time slider, text in the sidebar, one to paper, but two in innovative ways, even radical ways, to a new form of book, potentially in the back of digital glasses or even in multimedia rooms, WUAS multimedia rooms, WUAS hospital multimedia rooms. So think Google Street View in a room. And there's a video, how to view Street View in a smart meeting room, that offers some beginning approaches to this. World University in Schools Open WUAS weekly business meeting at News and Question and Answer. Meet on Mondays. Next today on March 9th, and then next on March 16th at 9 a.m. Mexico City time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Mountain time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, US and Canada, 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and 10:30 or 11:30 p.m. India time, and 1 a.m. Tuesday the next day, Hong Kong time. But please check your time converter from any of your 24 time zones to join this open WUS weekly business meeting with Zoom URL in the open WUS weekly business meeting agenda and news below, and in the following WUS blog posts. So the agenda for today's WUS News and Question and Answer, WUS Weekly Business Meeting, which I shared with you last week, so as to season and to invite your thinking and feedback to, is begin Skyline Ridge Open Space Preserve in both blogs, World University School.blogspot.com, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com, from March 2nd, 2026. So that's the agenda and news that I'm coming into conversation with this week. Let me just check to see if people are seeking to join. So for this week, actually, correction, we're working from the Rocky Mountains skyline agenda and news for it's dated March 2nd in both blogs, and it's March 9th today. And I'll get to agenda item 1 soon from the Rocky Mountains skyline blog post for World University in School and scott-mccloud.blogspot.com as a way to find it quickly. So World University in School is growing daily, and blog post by blog post 2 and waiting, I think, about the California exempt filing process to advance, and the Candid GuideStar platform to develop too for nonprofit federal 501c3 tax exempt legal entities, and waiting for accreditation opportunities to further develop. And stay tuned next week for March 16th. We'll focus on those. And for money and how to grow the community in all of this further, and both online and in Canyon 94516 potentially. All the best, abolitionally, a best Steam Creative Commons licensed open courseware wiki at World Univ and SCH. That's a Twitter feed. Hashtag WUAS abolition movement is growing to protect people, to abolish the wrongful buying and selling of people in the illegal sex, drugs, violence, car theft, military targeting, etc., industries internationally and their latent networks of violence. And as World University and School seeks to code for all 7.9 billion people. See more about this WUS abolition movement in the blog post beginning Lotus Kamala Padma from July 2025 in my blog, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com. And as World University and School seeks to code for all 7.9 billion people on the planet to facilitate free universal education and to end poverty worldwide potentially. Yogically friendly NTF, NTQ, Quaker, and Unitarian Universalist greetings, kind regards, Scott GK McCloud. NTF is non-theist friend, NTQ is non-theist Quaker. And as the president at World University and School and the founder also, and the CEO and a professor at, and also the presiding and recording clerk loosely in the manner of unprogrammed NTF Quakers or friends. Updated some organizations that World University and School has recently at linkedin.com/in/Scott GK McCloud. And the recording of today's WUS News and Question and Answer will be posted here to youtube.com/at Scott McCloud World University /videos, current main active YouTube channel for World University and School. So today, one of the things we'll focus on is on using LLMs, large language models, to understand the language of life, co-authored by George Church. Stay tuned. So the first wing of World University and School, the first of two wings, a 501c3 or similar nonprofit, CC licensed, best Steam open courseware wiki World University and School wing. Its beginning webpage still is worlduniversityandschool.org. Check out its GuideStar profile at guidestar.org/profile/27-3105368. Agenda item 0. See the WUAS weekly business meeting as kind of minutes as a video recording from last week using the agenda and news from the week before in the Skyline Ridge Open Space Preserve blog post. And if you have questions or thoughts, please email me about these. So agenda item 1, WUAS as an alternative to Harvard, MIT, Oxbridge, Harvard and MIT, and see the Sal Khan article. How best further can free at World University and School, building on MIT OpenCourseWare in 7 languages in 200 hashtag WUAS countries, create hashtag alternative to Harvard, MIT, Oxbridge, and see the hashtag founder of Khan Academy wants to create an hashtag alternative to Harvard or Stanford article from the newspaper, the SF Standard. Fascinating that Sal Khan is seeking to create an alternative to Harvard or Stanford, and I think go his own accreditation route. And also World University and School is seeking to build on MIT OpenCourseWare and in all 200 countries and their main languages to create an alternative to Harvard, MIT, Oxbridge. Stay tuned. Agenda item 2. After the State of the Union address, greetings from World University and School, building on CC4 MIT OpenCourseWare in 7 languages. And further, continuing to plan free degrees in a Grow with Google program. Agenda item 3, Twitter X. With a federal award of up to $22 million, researchers will study treatment to slow the human aging process. Researchers from Brown University and a consortium of other universities are working on this set of clinical trials. Set of Twitter X posts. How to develop this further. Hashtag in silico at World University and School. In a hashtag realistic virtual earth for clinical trials. Hashtag realistic virtual earth for extreme longevity. Hashtag realistic virtual earth for DNA. Hashtag RVE for genetics. And even in a hashtag realistic virtual earth for aging reversal. And with our hashtag avatar agent electronic health records. See the Brown University tweet, Brown Longevity Genetics Clinical Trial, Aging Reversal, tweeter and journalist Lori Green posted, and how to develop this further in silico as a realistic virtual earth. Agenda item 4. First exploration of Gemini AI to build a virtual Harbin hot springs for ethnographic book project number 2 in aistudio.google.com. And there's so much potential for all of us to co-make, co-build a hashtag realistic virtual Harbin, hashtag hot springs with a hashtag realistic virtual earth. Google AI Studio, Gemini AI, Nano, Banana. Dear Jane, Peter, my mother, Peter, Norvig, Byron, Han, MD, PhD, Pin Mazumdar in Health and Human Services, Ed Smythe, MD, affiliated with Kaiser Permanente NorCal. Wow, and incredibly, seeking to generate a first exploration of Gemini AI to build a virtual Harbin hot springs for ethnographic book project number 2. And with so much potential for all of us to co-make, co-build a realistic virtual Harbin hot springs with a realistic virtual earth, with the prompt text below and meeting and needing. So I added the prompt text below to AI studio.google.com and in seeking to begin a first Harbin hot springs ethnographic field site, and ended up needing an API key. There's a button in the aistudio.google.com's window which says connect API key for Nano Banana 2 option in the top right of the main window. And I was wondering how to proceed. It has begun a realistic virtual Harbin hot springs, but I'm not proceeding with following up on it any further, as it didn't work on my smartphone, for example. I couldn't view the window of the beginning virtual Harbin on my smartphone. And I'm postulating that Google is iterating and coding and building out these large language models and AI infrastructure as we talk. And that waiting a few days, a few weeks, a few months will make for more realized virtual Harbin hot springs. So the prompt I added to Google AI Studio Gemini AI Nano Banana is a little bit lengthy, and it reads, I'd like to start building and iterating realistic virtual Harbin hot springs in Google Street View with Time Slider, Gmaps, TensorFlow AI, and particularly from sitting on the bench near the front steps of the Harbin Hot Springs warm pool, about 300 yards up from this Harbin gatehouse in Google Street View, with the URL for the Harbin Hot Springs Gatehouse in Google Street View, Google Maps. And connected to the Harbin book Twitter feed, which is my first book, Naked Harbin Ethnography, and also the book's webpage on my blog in a bit.ly shortened URL. And with something like this onsens or hot springs perspective, which is in a relatively new tiltable YouTube interactive immersive information technology, an onsen, which is a great YouTube video, Japanese hot springs that would work well from one's bathtub. Check out the onsen video. It ends with the URL for the YouTube onsen video ends with DUI. I don't know if that has any significance regarding driving under the influence, that this wouldn't be workable when one was driving, for example. And viewable in, so the prompt goes on, and viewable in a digital mask, and for yoga meditation from our home bathtubs, and eventually for a second Harbin Hot Springs ethnographic study and creation of a realistic virtual Harbin Hot Springs for history. And I added the label from my blog, my daily blog, the Harbin Hot Springs history label to this prompt. And building from also Scott G.K. McLeod's first Harbin Hot Springs ethnographic book, perhaps even later by adding this book to text in the sidebar in Google Street View with parallels to the images in Sundar Pichai's TweetX here following. So much potential for all of us to co-build a realistic virtual Harbin Hot Springs with a realistic virtual Earth, and even with new science approaches, WUS science, hashtag WUS science, hashtag social science, hashtag ethno-wiki virtual world graphy theory, and text in the sidebar, and in a second, hashtag Harbin ethnography, Harbin book. And that set of tweets retweeted all in this one prompt, Sundar Pichai's recent tweet, reading, introducing Nano Banana 2, our best image model yet. It uses Gemini's understanding of the world and is powered by real-time information and images from web search. That means it can better reflect real-world conditions in high fidelity. Check out quote, window seat, a demo using Nano Banana 2's world understanding to generate more accurate views from any window in the world, pulling live local weather info into 2K, 4K specs. The precision is mind-blowing. Rolling out today as the new default in the Gemini app. That's a Twitter feed. Search across 141 countries, and Flow Plus available in preview via at Google AI Studio and Vertex AI, also available in Google Anti-Gravity with the Sundar Pichai Twitter URL. So this great prompt led to the beginning of a virtual Harbin Hot Springs, not yet realized. Read more about this in the blog post beginning Camellia Japonica in my blog, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com from February of 2026. Agenda item 4A, in a related vein. So much potential for all of us to co-make a hashtag realistic virtual Harbin, hashtag hot springs in a hashtag realistic virtual Earth in G Street View with Gene Timeslider, and even with new science and as new science, social science, and ethno-wiki virtual world graphy theory, text in the sidebar for a second Harbin ethnography Harbin book. And that retweets Sundar Pichai's Nano Banana tweet. Agenda item 5, WUS collaboration with majors in Yale College. So Yale College, I looked up online Yale College's majors, and they appear to number about 80 for their undergraduate programs. And how could World University and School potentially collaborate also with Yale College, if at all possible, as World University and School builds on MIT OpenCourseWare with I think World University and Schools has developed about 42 majors from the ocw.mit.edu Creative Commons 4 license project. So a set of Twitter posts, a hashtag WUS collaboration, majors in Yale College, catalog.yale.edu/VCPS/majors-in-Yale-college, approximately 80, and works with, and could this work with Open Yale Courses, oyc.yale.edu, which is, I think, Creative Commons 3 license, where at World University and School, seeking hashtag WS accreditation still has about 142 majors on this World University and School.org website, building on ocw.mit.edu. Develop in a realistic virtual earth, all 80 Yale majors, all 38 MIT OCW majors, all 42 World University and School majors, each course separately in a realistic virtual earth. Stay tuned. More about this in the blog post beginning Chokeberry in my blog from March of 2026, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com, 2026/03/chokeberry.html. Agenda item 6, level up Scratch programming language out of the MIT Media Lab. Level up with the free Scratch programming language from MIT Media Lab, and which interoperates with Lego Spike Prime Robotics, for example. It's a video. You can improve your Scratch coding skills with this video. Scratch is mostly for kids, but it could be interesting for adults too. And I think this video partly focuses on debugging. And open your own scratch.mit.edu website. And for example, World University and School has one as well. So you can start coding with Scratch in your own scratch.mit.edu website. Have fun coding. So World University and Schools scratch.mit.edu website URL is scratch.mit.edu/users/Scott World Univ and SCH. And read more about this also in the Chokeberry webpage in my blog, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com/2026/03/chokeberry.html. Agenda item 7, WUS statements of information and filings, both state of California and US federal. The California exempt World University and School legal entity is seeking to file the statement of information by April 30th, 2026 at bizfileonline.sos.ca.gov. And in agenda item 7A, see the filing of this through April 30th, 2026. So we're good through April 20th, 2026 on the exempt state of California legal entity. But I think they're working on iterating and developing this platform. So World University and School will file this further within the next 5 weeks or so, or 7 weeks or so. Agenda item 7B. So here, this is the 501c3 U.S. federal public charity wing of World University and School. And the tax number for World University and School is at worlduniversityandschool.org. For the 501c3 and the state of California exempt legal entity at the bottom of this worlduniversityandschool.org homepage. And this is also evidence that we filed the 990N card for the 501c3 U.S. federal exempt public charity wing. And this relates to the guidestar.org profile for World University and School. And you can search for World University and School in apps.irs.gov.app.eos. And this is, we have filed the tax year 2025 form, the 990N, the e-postcard. I filed it in, I think, late January. Agenda item 7C, which is really on the other wing, for the other wing, the WS Corporation wing, which we'll get to. But I'll talk briefly about this here. And this is for the beginning website for the academic press at WUS, also the WS Educational Services stores, and the books, for books, computers, robotics, hospital technologies, groceries, and think a Walmart product line for universities and schools. worlduniversityandschool.org/academicpress.html is the beginning URL, and the tax ID number is at the bottom of this. So agenda item 7C, and on the for-profit WS Corporation wing, and with the state of California, the next filing date is 2027, 4/30/2027. So we also successfully filed the WS Corporation statement of information for 2025 back in January. Agenda item 7D will seek to file the exempt World University and School statement of information pretty soon, if possible. Agenda item 8, California Japonica, Saturday, February 28, 2026. A restorative yoga class on Saturdays, and as we may live to 150 and well beyond. I email a group of people involved in this restorative yoga class, and as we may live to 150 and well beyond, with some ideas for exploring individually yoga asana and yoga on one's own, all around 8 a.m. Pacific time. In this 2/28/26 exploratory restorative yoga class, there's a yoga video from Yogini Angela Farmer, teaching Shavasana, titled Shavasana, Letting Go and Returning. Check it out. It's pretty interesting. And then explore some of the same videos sitting in easy pose, easy cross-legged pose or half lotus, and especially sitting on a chair for a few minutes. Further, you can explore the yoga tree of 8-limb yoga as a beginning way to explore yoga philosophy. And then another 5 minutes or so with a kind of introduction to pranayama, breathing explorations, yogically with Angela too. And further, I found a new yoga book for me recently at Harvard Medical School Guide to Yoga, and actually met one of its authors, Marlene, whom I appreciated a lot, in a Data and Society webinar from near DC on Thursday, February 26th, 2026. Interesting synchronicity. Set of Twitter posts about the Harvard Medical School Guide to Yoga. 8 Weeks to Strength, Awareness, is that consciousness? And Flexibility by Marlene Way, MD, JD, and James E. Groves, MD, from 2017, with an introduction to yoga, the chair sequence, and a modified sun salutation from also Harvard Medical School and Harvard Health Publications. Check them out. And further, as we may live to 150 and well beyond, how else is it possible to study brain cells and neurons with, for example, hashtag brainwave headsets, and in their cells through the cranium, besides by EEG and MRI processes scientifically? I asked Gemini AI, and how to add these data to an iterating hashtag realistic virtual earth for cells, hashtag WUS cell bio. Gemini AI provided a remarkable response, and part of the Harbin Hot Springs project involves potentially studying brain with headbands and brainwave headsets while people are soaking in the Harbin warm pool or in their home bathtubs in a virtual Harbin Hot Springs, and streaming this data over the internet from our headbands or our brainwave headsets, potentially into our avatar agent electronic health records as they develop and iterate. So further, how to study the cells and neurons of the brain, and meditation, and even loving bliss, neurochemistry, and with headbands and brainwave headsets too. And in my second Harbin Hot Springs ethnographic book project, while soaking in the Harbin warm pool or in our homes in a virtual Harbin Hot Springs, and with STEM research on the brain and body-mind planned too, and regarding yoga and asana and breathing and meditation. And in these regards, here are some related research queries in a form of Twitter post to George Church and Peter Norvig. Which databases to draw from first at GeoChurch on Twitter, hashtag Peter Norvig, in developing hashtag LLM models for hashtag cellular transitions, hashtag across human life stages, hashtag realistic virtual earth, hashtag RVE for extreme longevity, hashtag RVE for cells in our hashtag physical digital avatar agent electronic health records. And again, how to develop databases and large language models for, this is the title of a paper, I think, Cellular Transitions Across Human Life Stages, or a Twitter post from a Harvard Medical School, for example, at databases of embryos, cellular transitions, say, to becoming, to being born, and at 10 years old and 20 years old, et cetera, through 90 years old, and even if we could machine learning predict to 150 years old, the cellular transitions across human life stages with large language models, how to develop the data sets for these. And further, regarding the dates, at the Harbin Hot Springs Gatehouse in Google Street View with G Time Slider, and those dates are 2007, 2012, 2024 in Google Street View with Time Slider, Google Maps. And you can time slide between these dates. In 2007, there's a vintage fire engine to the left of the gatehouse. In 2012, the vintage fire engine is gone. And in 2024, to the left of the Harbin Hot Springs Gatehouse is a small RV van, Mint or something. How to connect these dates even to cellular transitions across human life stages at the cell level in physical, digital, avatar, agent, electronic health records. So which databases to draw from, which databases to create, in these regards. So looking forward to exploring at the close of this yoga class, looking forward to exploring some of this all together tomorrow as individuals on our own yoga journeys, and as we grow stronger with awareness and fitter too, and as we may live to 150 years of age and well beyond. And again, here's a fascinating, rigorous clinical trial out of Brown University with Brown professor John Sedevy as the principal investigator, I think, and other universities in New England studying slowing aging. And see the blog post beginning Asparagus gowrensis in scott-mccloud.blogspot.com/2026/01 Asparagus gowrensis.html. Know of other clinical trials in process in related longevity vein and with possible yoga explorations too? Please let us know in this developing yoga and longevity conversation. Namaste, all the best. Happy yoga explorations. Warm regards, Scott. Read more about this in the blog post beginning Camellia japonica. Agenda item 9. Happy birthday, Grant, Skank, on Cuttyhunk or Martha's Vineyard, or in Massachusetts, southeastern Massachusetts, and birthday greetings from, in a sense, virtual Abolition Row Park in New Bedford, Massachusetts, across from the New Bedford Quaker Meeting House. This is an email I sent to Grant and about 100 other people who often go to Cuttyhunk Island, Massachusetts, in southeastern Mass. How are you? How are the Elizabeth Islands in winter doing? How are your birthday celebrations going in 2026? Remembering your father Nidek's beautiful blue trimaran sailboat out in the Cuttyhunk Pond on your birthday here. And birthday greetings from, in a sense, virtual Abolition Row Park in New Bedford, across from the New Bedford Quaker Meeting House, with its historical separate doors for men and women, and where many friends, friends with a capital F, have sat in friendly Quaker silent meeting meditation. But probably not Peleg Slocum, who is often said to be the first white person on Cuttyhunk from the 1600s, I think, a first farmer on Cuttyhunk, since this Friends Meeting House in New Bedford was built in the 1800s. And regarding abolition on Cuttyhunk too, I think. So a friendly Quaker silent meeting meditation on abolition and on Cuttyhunk too. And there's a Google Street View URL of the Abolition Row Park and with the New Bedford Quaker Meeting House behind it. So here is the world to Grant further, and in this e-birthday party, how is the World University and School worldwide abolition movement? And read more about this at the blog posts in both blogs for World University and School, beginning Eagle, Aquila, World University, and in World University and School.blogspot.com/2025/10/Eagle, Aquila, World University, and in scott-mccloud.blogspot.com/2025/10/Eagle, Aquila, World University, and how is the World University and School worldwide abolition movement growing on Cuttyhunk and the Elizabeth Islands? And having sought U.S. federal protection for my mother, brother, and myself many, many months ago, and an ongoing U.S. federal investigation into international organized crime, in cahoots even with uniformed armed services on Cuttyhunk and related boats and yachts too, with my father, GKM MD, having potentially been whacked or hit on the head, I postulate, on a short university managed at the time semester at sea trip in the country of Belize on December 30th, 2004, one day before my birthday, leading to his death, I posit. wishing you a happy birthday, Grant, in this email party celebration. And here are some party favors for everyone in the form of free Stanford MindPi cryptocurrency free money daily. mindpi.com/SGKMAC. And you can get your own free MindPi and mine it daily, which probably comes to less than $10 a year these days if exchanged for dollars, which is good from an IRS perspective, and is kind of an investment, potentially in abolishing poverty too, but which could help grow an abolition movement further. And on Cuddy Hunk, if written into state of Massachusetts and US federal law somehow, I think. Read more about this in the blog post beginning. Sprangletop leptochipa, leptochoya. In my blog, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com from 2026, February, Sprangletop leptochio. Agenda item 10. Yoga asana teachers at Harvard Medical School. The Harvard Medical School Guide to Yoga, 8 weeks to Strength, Awareness, and Flexibility by Marlene Way, MD, JD, and James E. Groves, MD, from 2017. Check it out. It's a well thought out book. Yoga asana teachers at Harvard Medical School, and EG for Dick Robb, MD, possibly. Richard Robb, MD, Harvard professor of ophthalmology, is a label in my blog too. Could he, who had a stroke 10 or 15 years ago, possibly benefit from chair yoga and yoga asana with yoga asana teachers from Harvard Medical School, where he taught for years and did research into the eye? Read more about this in the blog post beginning Asparagus gaurensis in scott-mccloud.blogspot.com/2026/01/asparagus gaurensis.html, with some YouTube videos of chair yoga and a modified sun salutation. Agenda item 11, mental health, chatbots, and the future of care. This was a Data and Society webinar in which Marlene Way, MD, JD, was one of the panelists, and I learned also there that she had testified before Congress recently in the last months of 2025, and sharing some of the summary of her testimony here in this agenda item. AI chatbots vary widely in their psychological benefits and risks, depending on their design, safeguards, and intended use. General purpose AI chatbots expand access to psychoeducation, self-understanding, and skill building, but are not designed to manage crises or complex psychiatric needs. AI companions carry higher risks of emotional dependence, social withdrawal, and blurred reality boundaries. Using general purpose chatbots in an immersive way that anthropomorphizes chatbots elevates these risks. Clinical validated AI therapy chatbots show early promise for targeted interventions, but still require human in the loop oversight and should not replace clinical care. And read her testimony testifying before Congress in this congress.gov PDF that I also share in these agenda and news from the Rocky Mountain Skyline blog post. 11A, AI chatbots, identity and attachment, and from Yale and Harvard trained psychiatrist and Yogini, an author of Harvard Medical School Guide to Yoga, Marlene Way, MD, JD. Interesting focus on Western psychology and psychiatric concepts, identity and attachment, and artificial intelligence chatbots in this upcoming conversation online. And regarding modernity and what I'm calling internetity, the information technology revolution. I'll read more about this in the blog post beginning Asparagus garoensis from January of 2026 or February of 2026. Agenda item 11A, was interested in learning, but didn't really. How are people using chatbots generatively for talk therapy? And I created a set of Twitter posts about this. How could any number of 7.9 billion hashtag WUS people at World Univ and SCH benefit from free hashtag chatbots for mental health, hashtag ML generative talk therapy, and hashtag join the talk with Yale and Harvard trained psychiatrists, and hashtag Yogini, hashtag Marlene Way, MDJD, on hashtag mental health chatbots and hashtag the future of care. So this webinar is passed. It might become available online. Have a look for it. Agenda item 12. How to make mental health therapy with chatbots available to all 7.9 billion people. So many psychiatry and theory questions here. Is anyone developing, for example, Lacanian, Jacques Lacan, psychoanalytic psychiatry, chatbot ML, machine learning, generative talk therapy? And I'm thinking in terms of the brilliant Dr. George L. Alexander, MD, a family friend. We shared an Xmas meal for about 22 or 23 years together in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, now deceased, who was a Lacanian psychoanalytic psychiatrist with a Yale Bachelor of Science degree and a McGill University in Canada MD degree, and who was also philosophical and a linguist too, theoretically, as well as an evolutionary biologist experimentally, and who I think was an excellent clinician and also very realistic clinically regarding psychoanalytic psychiatry and as a realist in general. Brainstorming, how might his sons, Caleb Alexander, MD, at Johns Hopkins University, and John Alexander, MD, at Duke University, even help code a Google AI, Lacanian psychoanalytic, MD psychiatrist chatbot, and at the same time that possibly, for example, Freudian MD chatbots, etc., were developing. And somehow, with 8 limbs of yoga thinking per your work, Dr. Marlene Way, and regarding the Harvard Medical School Guide to Yoga, for example. Thanks, Scott G.K. McLeod, and the Psychiatry Wiki Subject School at World University and School, and the Psychoanalysis Wiki Subject or School at World University and School, and the Yoga Wiki Subject or Wiki School at World University and School, wiki.worlduniversityandschool.org/wiki/yoga or psychoanalysis or psychiatries. Further, how could MIT OCW-centric and Yale OYC-centric Wiki World University and School in a hashtag Grow with Google WS program even help with this? For your information, WUAS has not hired anyone yet and became a 501c3 nonprofit public charity first in 2010. So WS 200 planned online universities with 200 online medical schools are not in a position to do this alone at this time. And further, how best are medical schools and universities and similar measuring and studying outcomes in current use of chatbot AI for MD talk therapy? And could they do so iteratively in the future? And brainstorming further, how even could they do so in a realistic virtual earth for psychiatry? And how could this help with clinical and academic learning about outcomes for successes? And even regarding a hashtag realistic virtual Harbin as LLMs, large language models, hot springs, where yoga also has a history since 1972. And see the virtual Harbin label in my blog and the virtual earth label, for example, in World University and Schools blog. And iteratively from here a Google Maps, Google Street View URL of the Harbin Hot Springs Gatehouse with the URL for my first book and first Harbin ethnographic book, and it being scottmccloud.com/actual virtual Harbin book.html. So further, with some more questions I sent on to the Data and Society panel from World University and School. So how to construct or construe a Jacques Lacan Gemini AI mistake Shaka Khan and Sigmund Freud ideas of identity and attachment regarding possibly self and connection with parents developmentally in terms of today's anthropological and sociological concepts of identity. I asked Gemini AI and didn't get, from my perspective, a very helpful reply. And how did Jacques Lacan, MD, construe conceptions of identity and attachment in terms of his tripart schema of the symbolic register, the other or mirror register, and the real register in terms of today's concepts of identity regarding even Manuel Castell's book, The Power of Identity, in his middle book, in his The Information Age trilogy. And I asked Gemini AI this and also didn't get a very helpful reply to my way of thinking. And further, I asked Gemini AI, how does the possibility of creating new identities online regarding Sherry Turkle's work, Life on the Screen book, affect ideas of identity and attachment regarding even John Money's concepts of determinism, seeking to encompass and transcend platitudes of nature versus nurture, and see an excerpt for these on my website, scottmccloud.com/John Money Concepts of Determinism.html, with his 5 exigencies of being human, pair bondage, troop bondage, abidance, foreduments, ecleptance, and his 3 coping strategies, attribution, inhibition, and explication. And in terms of the future of care in the information age regarding chatbots AI. And I asked Gemini AI this, and I think it got it wrong, interestingly. So moving on to agenda item 13, to help generative AI models create durable real-world accessories and decor, the physics op system, how to add this to a realistic virtual Earth in Street View with Time Slider. Found on Twitter an interesting system out of MIT, and the MIT CSAIL blog post, mixing generative AI with physics to create personal items that work in the real world, to help generative AI models create durable, real-world accessories and decor. The PhysiOpt system runs physics simulations and makes subtle tweaks to its 3D blueprint. And this is an article by Alex Ships at MIT CSAIL dated February 25th, 2026. So I created a set of Twitter posts about this, mixing #generative AI with physics to create personal items that work in the real world, to help #generative AI models create durable real-world accessories and decor. The PhysiOpt system, how to add this to a realistic virtual Earth in Street View. Agenda item 14. Hippie online restorative yoga explorations, unprogrammed NTF friendly Quaker silent meeting meditations, experimental Unitarian Universalist church service all in one. How best further to grow a #yoga and longevity genetics conversation with hippie 8 limbs of yoga, #restorative yoga explorations, #Quaker meeting meditating, hashtag Unitarian Universalist Church Service experiments, beginning with these yoga video and at the yoga wiki subject at World University and School. Stay tuned. Agenda item 14A. No war with Iran. A Twitter post. This was at the top of the Friends Committee on National Legislation website. No war with Iran. The United States just attacked Iran. We do not want another endless war in the Middle East. We urgently need diplomacy, not violence, and illegal executive overreach. Congress must say no. FCNL.org. And the Quakers Religious Society of Friends wiki subject or school at World University and School. Read more about this in the blog post beginning Chokeberry, scott-mccloud.blogspot.com, 2026-03, chokeberry.html. So moving on to the WS Corporation, the second of two WUS wings, a for-profit general stock company legal entity in the state of California, also the WS Press, academic press in 7,159 languages with machine learning. Beginning web pages worlduniversityandschool.org/academicpress.html. Agenda item A, Walmart CEOs and new CPO, Chief Executive Officers and Chief People Officer. Check out the blog post in worlduniversityandschool.blogspot.com about this from 2026 in March, beginning Walmart, Walmart CEOs, new CPO, Dear, and in the blog post beginning Chokeberry at scott-mccloud.blogspot.com. Set of Twitter posts. Dear Walmart CEOs and new CPO, CEO John Furner, former CEO Catherine McClay, CEO Chris Nicholas, hashtag Donna Morris, CPO, hashtag Peter Norvig, Google AI. How best to communicate further about one, free to students, 501c3, World University and School, and two, at WUS Press, WS Corp, in a realistic virtual earth for retail in an ongoing way. I posted to Twitter and much more informationally to LinkedIn, longer posts, seeking to connect with John Furner, Catherine McClay, Chris Nicholas, and Donna Morris. John Furner is the new CEO of Walmart International, or Walmart in the US. Catherine McClay is originally from Australia. Chris Nicholas is originally from England, I think. How can we proceed possibly at World University and School with a store within a store on both wings of World on the WS Corporation wing? Read the LinkedIn extended posts. Agenda item B, the academic press at WUS Press on Twitter doesn't have WUS publisher AI yet, and especially AI and MLWUS, hashtag WUS press editor or editors. We don't have AI and ML WUAS press editors to bring a book to market and potentially in all 7,159 living languages. So this will be remarkable AI software, a publisher AI software, press editor software, and World University and School will seek to develop it further. Set of Twitter posts in these regards. Was talking to a friend at hashtag Berkeley Public Library Claremont, writing third draft of her hashtag sci-fi novel, who may hashtag self-publish, and observed to her that hashtag academic press WUAS at WUS Press on Twitter didn't have hashtag WUAS publisher AI yet, and especially hashtag AI and ML WUAS hashtag WUS press editors. For market, generative AI, they could act as publishers or editors to bring a book to market from, say, a third draft. If an author writing a book sought this, for example, and potentially in all 7,159 living languages. And agenda item C, this is a blog post, this is a Twitter post that John Palfrey, the president of the MacArthur Foundation, posted to his Twitter feed. Andrew Yang, why universal basic income is our future, from February 27th. And Andrew Yang posts, I remember, and he retweets someone who said about Andrew Yang, remember when this guy came out of nowhere in 2019 and said AI is coming and UBI will be the solution? Artificial intelligence is coming and universal basic income will be the solution. Pre-COVID feels like another lifetime. Picture of Andrew Yang's 2018 book, The War on Normal People, the truth about America's disappearing jobs and why universal basic income is our future, from a Twitter feed titled High Yield Harry. And I think Andrew Yang was talking about $12,000 a year, universal basic income in the US. What would it be if World University and School can distribute Stanford MindPi cryptocurrency to most of all 7.9 billion people, say to the poorest billion people on the planet, to end poverty? How much would a universal basic income be for these poorest peoples in each of 200 countries? More about this later, and read more about this in the blog post beginning Chokeberry. scott-mccloud.blogspot.com/2026/03 chokeberry.html. Agenda item D, and again, regarding the academic press at World University and School, a copy of the WS Corporation having filed for 2025 Statement of Information with the state of California. So that's the news and question and answer for today. Monday, March 9th, 2026, using the agenda and news from last week, March 2nd, beginning Rocky Mountain skyline. I'll post the recording of this to the current main YouTube channel for World University and School, Scott McCloud World University /videos, and also to both blogs for today, which begin Peneda Gerdes National Park, Portugal, and also to the main Twitter feeds for World University and School, twitter.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH and twitter.com/WUAS Press. And if you have questions about World University and School as we proceed with accreditation, or if you know of students who might want to matriculate at Free World University and School, building on MIT OpenCourseware in 7 languages, and as possibly with students working on developing wiki teaching and wiki learning in all 7,000 languages, please let me know at president@worlduniversityandschool.org. And until next week, Monday, March 16th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. worlduniversityandschool.org is our current main homepage. See you soon. Bye for now.